I think the primary reason why everyone is talking about Nike stock right now is because of Elliott Hill, the new CEO, and his turnaround strategy for the company is starting to take shape, and investors are liking the turnaround strategy. So I'm going to share with you some of the details of that turnaround strategy. A huge announcement with the new partner that's going to have very good implications for Nike stock investors, in my opinion, and more understanding of how successful this turnaround strategy could be for Nike stock investors.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So part of that strategy from Nike CEO Elliott Hill is to better serve wholesale partners. And they're in the process of hiring retail marketing, visual merchandising, and account management teammates. And this will help them connect with their wholesale partners. It'll make it easier for wholesale partners to work with Nike and resell Nike's products. And that's going to be a positive for the company in terms of gaining market share and uh, taking away an opportunity for competitors. If Nike goes into these wholesale partner locations, takes up that shelf space, then there's a limited amount of that space. And so competitors will not have that space available to them. And of course, I think wholesale partners would prefer Nike over some of these newer startups that are gaining significant market share. Even though these newer startups might be popular with consumers, they still don't have that brand recognition that Nike does. And so wholesale partners would prefer dealing with Nike, which is a more reliable partner, a longer term partner, and that way they can establish that connection and generate more sales. So far, they've already seen better presentations, better consumer connections, and increased sell throughs. So, this is the early success we're seeing, and it's very early days, right? Elliott Hill took over as CEO in the middle of October. So, not even a full year yet at the helm of such a big company. And when you're taking a leadership role at such a big company, it's harder to turn things around than if it was a smaller company, right? Bigger ships are harder to turn around, and Nike is one of the biggest ships in the retail industry. So here's that new partnership I teased in the introduction of the video. CEO announcing a new partnership with Amazon this fall. Amazon will carry a select assortment of Nike's footwear, apparel, and accessories, and Nike will have a featured brand store on the platform focused on running, training, basketball, and sportswear. So, what are the implications of this announcement for Nike? Well, first of all, it's going to juice sales. Sales will increase as a result of this partnership because you're increasing your distribution to a channel that has hundreds of millions of customers, right? Perhaps even more than that. The last update we got was that Amazon had hundreds of millions of Prime members, and then regular customers could be in over a billion. But that's speculation. If they have over 2 million Prime customers, they probably have at least 500 million regular customers, in my opinion. But we haven't got that kind of data from Amazon, so I'm just estimating those figures. So sales will rise. Undoubtedly, sales will rise as a result of this partnership, but there are question marks. Working with Amazon will create an execution challenge for Nike. They need to supply the inventory, have the inventory in Amazon warehouse locations, and work with Amazon and Amazon's demands for how they want Nike to deliver that inventory for availability for shipping to customers because Amazon has very strict standards on availability and delivery time for its customers. Will Nike be able to execute on that? Will they be able to have all that inventory available? Remember, Nike has a multitude of products in a multitude of sizes, in a multitude of colors. Having that available at Amazon locations so that they can be delivered to customers next day or 2 days later for Prime customers, that's going to be a difficult challenge. How is that going to impact Nike's cost? that's also likely to increase. So sales will increase to be sure, but Nike's costs will also increase. And I wouldn't be surprised if sales through the Amazon channel will be some of the lowest profit margin sales for Nike, given the negotiating power Amazon commands. So Amazon wasn't just, saying, "Oh yeah, sure, Nike, you want to sell your products on our website and our platform? Come on, let's do it." I'm almost certain that Amazon did not do that. I'm sure Amazon said, "Oh, good. You want to come sell your products on our platform? Excellent. Come on, let's sit down and have a little talk here. Here's what we ask. If you want to sell your products on our platform and you want access to hundreds of millions of shoppers with their payment information on file and some of the highest purchasing power consumers in the world. Here's what we ask of you, Nike. We want you to give us wholesale prices, or we want you to pay this much commission on each sale. Also, we want you to have this much inventory in this many locations, and we want you to accept returns, no questions asked, etc., etc. So the demands from Amazon to Nike, which wasn't described in detail here, I'm sure were demanding, because Amazon does have a lot of negotiating power, and Amazon is notorious for flexing that negotiating power against its partners in the ecosystem. So this will, on the one hand, it'll boost Nike's sales to be sure, but on the other hand, it'll be the lowest profit margin sales for Nike, and that's an estimate, and that's not for sure, but I think it's very likely to assume that sales through the Amazon channel will be some of the lowest margin sales for Nike. Overall, I think it'll be a positive for Nike. Nike has lost a lot of market share in recent quarters and recent years because of its lack of distribution channels, because of the way it pulled back from its distribution channels from wholesale partners. And that allowed an opening for competitors to jump in and capture sales. So by Nike jumping in here on Amazon, it'll again be another defensive move against competitors, which will now have, if the competitors are on Amazon's platform, now they have to compete with Nike. Now, when somebody's on on Amazon's website, they will see Nike's products next to competitor products, and some of those customers will undoubtedly choose Nike over a competitor's product. So it'll stunt the growth of some of Nike's fast-growing rivals, and it'll stunt the growth of competitors, which is a positive in and of itself for Nike, because that's one of the reasons why Nike's sales are falling so much, is that there's been an increase in popularity of its rivals, newer startups that are gaining market share, and this will help slow it down because Nike will be available in front of consumers' eyes in more locations and capture more sales ahead of the competitors. So overall, great news here for Nike stock investors. And this is one of the reasons I think why a lot of investors are talking about Nike stock. This in particular, not only the broader strategy of reconnecting with wholesalers, but specifically announcing a partnership with Amazon really has investors excited for Nike. Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book is finally available for sale. I've been working on it for more than a year now, so I'm really excited to finally share this with you now. It goes through my framework for evaluating stocks. Some of you often ask why I like this stock or why I like the other stock, and this framework provides you the things that I look at when I'm evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.